Everyone ready to start again? All right. Beautiful to be with you as always. And as I mentioned in the email that I sent out, I would like to start the year with not kind of the same format, but emphasizing a little bit more the practice of meditation. Because in the end, this is a meditation seminar, and the idea is to spend time on the practice and trying to create a better practice for all of us. And in this back and forth conversation, hopefully we shall attain that sort of goal or the idea. So let's start with some movements. First, one of the important things about meditation is the possibility to sit comfortably in meditation. When we sit in the lotus position or in Siddhasana or Sukhasana or the different settings or asanas for sitting positions to meditate, the idea of those poses are based on grounding ourselves, mostly the Muladhara chakra, in touch with the ground, and then building from there the spine upright. But this is a very difficult asana to be sit upright without support. How long you can be sitting cross legs, without support in your back. And the idea of meditation is to extend the time in which you go into the practice. So I always suggest to develop the practice having your back against something, against the wall, against a couch, in a chair, whatever it is that creates for you a practice, a situation, physical situations that bring comfortability is something that I deeply recommend you to do. It's like putting the things into place, not putting the cart in front of the horses, because you don't want to spend all those 20, 30, 40 minutes that you dedicate to meditation thinking about that your leg, or my hip is hurting, my neck is hurting, or I am not feeling comfortable. So comfortability, I would say, is a must, at least in the beginning. Of course, you can practice to be seated in Sukhasana or Siddhasana or meditation poses. It's great, and it's something that you maybe want to develop over time, but it still is something that probably you want to practice together, like a meditating. And as you develop the practice of meditation, then you may try, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes to be sitting in meditation and see how it goes. Also, in order to develop those poses, the asana practice is very important. A pose like Janu Siddhasana is a pose that opens the hips and help us to be seated in this position, having a great foundation. The problem that most of us are having is that we are very stiff on our hips, and also we haven't developed yet a very strong core, and that could create this sort of discomfort when we are sitting on the floor. I always recommend to higher your hips, so you sit on top of something. That's what those meditation cushions are. If you sit on top of something, then you can create a much more solid foundation with crossed legs, and then your hips are going to be at the level of your knees, or your knees at the level of your hips, actually. And then with that, you create a solid foundation to be seated in any of these poses that you choose in order to meditate. Sincerely, I've been practicing meditation since 2005. So it's 20 years already that I am practicing meditation. It's going to be 21 years that I am practicing meditation in a regular basis. And I still sit in a couch. I cross my legs because I feel much more comfortable having my legs crossed. At some point, maybe I extend one leg because I feel the stiffness on my legs, and then I need to release that while meditating. But I usually rest my back against the back of the couch, because it really helped me to develop the practice. So it also helped me to keep my spine upright, because the spine upright is very crucial in order to develop a good meditation. Energy flows through our spine, and the practice of meditation help us to somehow align that energy, to harmonize that energy that is flowing from the bottom to the top. So you really want to understand these different details in order to develop a better practice. You can meditate sitting with both your legs in a regular way. I would recommend then to ground your feet so you feel more solid. It's not comfortable for me. That's what I really need to cross my legs, because I feel much more grounded and solid on my practice. Still, I like and love the cushion of my couch and the possibility to rest my back, so I am not using my abdominal area in order to support my spine. That's a big deal. So apart from that, it's important to release the tensions we have in our shoulders, in our necks, in our chest. So let's do some exercises that can help. You do this exercise with me, but sit comfortably. And also mudras are very important. I recommend one of the mudras is Apana mudra. So you bring the middle finger and the ring finger. It's funny because I have the ring in the middle finger, but in any case, the middle finger and the ring finger in touch with the thumb, and the pinky and the index alone, right? This is called Apana mudra. Makes sense? Good. So you rest those hands on top of your lap like this. You rest them on top of your lap, and then you take a deep inhalation. On the exhalation, bring your chin down, feeling the length, the opening of your cervical area, the neck. Relax your shoulders. Keep pushing gently your chin towards your chest. You're working on, in which is called the Jalandhara Bandha. It's a locking area in our body, the throat. And then you take a deep inhalation, and then you bring the chin all the way up, and you feel the lengthening of your throat, and how energy goes all the way up now that you open the lock, the bandha. And then back to neutral. Take a deep inhalation in neutral pose. On the exhalation, turn your head to the right. Deep inhalation, back to neutral. Turn your head to the left as you exhale. And deep inhalation, back to neutral. On the exhalation, your chin goes down. Gently push your chin towards your chest. Inhalation, chin is up. Exhalation, back to neutral. Release the mudra. This is basically a movement that can help, and you can feel it already on your neck, liberating this area of your neck and this area of your shoulders. Now, grab the right side of your chair. Take a deep inhalation. On the exhalation, tilt your head to the left. Inhalation, back to neutral. Grab the left side of the chair. Take a deep inhalation. On the exhalation, tilt your head to the right. Inhalation, back to neutral. Keep grabbing the chair. Take a deep inhalation. On the exhalation, turn your head to the left. Bring your chin down. Inhalation, back to neutral. On the exhalation, turn your head to the right. Bring your chin down. Inhalation, back to neutral. Bring your left hand in touch with the right collarbone. Move your head back but not backwards completely, if not backwards in diagonal. You feel the lengthening of the throat of the neck in this area. And then back to neutral, switch. Your right hand in touch with the collarbone, and then you just move your head backwards and in diagonal. And then release it. Then extend your left arm up, bend the elbow, grab the ear, gently pull. And then release, and then extend the right arm up, bend the elbow, grab the ear, and gently pull. And then release. Give yourself a big hug, big hug, big hug. Bring your chin down. Feel the opening you are creating. Relax your shoulders. And then release. So a preparation like this before you start meditation is good, because then you feel that you are releasing tensions on your neck. You feel that you're releasing tensions on your chest, and then you create some sort of movement on your shoulders, maybe back and forth like this. So preparing yourself, it's like, doing some physical warm-up before you begin the practice of meditation. So we talk about comfortability, and we talk about some gentle preparation on the neck and the shoulders area. Now, the idea today was talk about Iswara Pranidhana, which is one of the 5 niyamas. I like to think about Iswara Pranidhana as I would call it the ultimate freedom. When you are really practicing Iswara Pranidhana, you release a huge back that you are holding on. And I would like to, in 15, 20 minutes, to talk about it, so for you to understand what Iswara Pranidhana means. And then from there, we can meditate on this for you to have an understanding and kind of explore a little bit more deeply into the practice. So what is Iswara Pranidhana? Well, literally, it means surrendering to the divine. That's the way that I like to put it. There are many perceptions about it, but that's one. And I would say that Iswara Pranidhana would be the art of putting or placing our efforts in the hands of something greater than our own ego. We always talk about the ego in yoga because somehow the ego is what keeps us a little bit delusional about the grandeur in which we live. And then our ego somehow encapsulated us, in words of Alan Watts, like a skin encapsulated ego. This is the way that he uses, or the definition he uses to refer as human beings. After that said, you heard me already about the ego. If you read my book, I talk about the ego, and I say the best antidote to the ego for me, the best that I found in 65 years of my life, is laughing. Because then when I am able to laugh to my ego, when I see my ego going there, I'm fighting for something, or fighting with my partner, or fighting with my kids, or fighting with someone, or fighting with myself, or being upset about something, or agitated, or whatever, and then I am able to see my ego driving me there, and it's fair to say driving me crazy, because we lost completely our own center when we go into that place. Then that's the moment in which I apply laughing. There are 2 choices. I can be very frustrated, which is something that sometimes I go there too, like everyone else, or applying laughing and saying, oh my God, once again, I am doing this. Once again, I am repeating the same thing. Because it's the same sort of let's say, work of art, but, in different disguise. It's always the same story. Sometimes in my case, with my two sons or my partner or someone, a friend or a situation, but it's always kind of the same. Is that at some point our ego gets touched, and and then we just react. So that's when I'm saying all of this because the idea of placing our efforts in the hands of something greater requires surrendering. And surrendering is not a good word in our vocabulary. you know, we don't like to surrender. We are taught not to surrender. We are taught to keep going forward. We are taught to just keep moving and keep going. So it's not a word supported by our common narrative. This is what I'm trying to say. But it's what a pranidhana, even though requires surrendering, is not weakness. It's not giving up on your ideas or your desires or on your projects, on your thoughts. It's not passivity neither. By contrary, it requires a lot of courage to surrender. It requires a lot of inner work to surrender. It requires a lot of faith in ourselves and in the mystery of life. And that's a very important part of our life. Life is full of mystery. So when we think about Iswara Pranidhana and surrendering, we need to understand surrendering from a completely different perspective. Think about the cosmos, for example. What is the effort that the cosmos does in order to function? Everything is going on. The days are coming, the nights are coming, the planets are going around, and there is no effort in there. It's something perfect that is going on. We call it the universe. Why we call it the universe? Why? Because it's a unique verse. It's a unique poem that reads and works on its own in a beautiful perfection. The good part of this, or the good news about all of this, is that we are part of it. And that's when our ego takes us away. That's what our ego takes us away. Makes sense? When we are grounded in our ego, then it takes us away. We become like this sort of individuals separated from this great, amazing universe in which we live. So we are also a unique expression of this. And that's very important too, because as humans, we are a very unique expression of this universe. We are part of it, and we are an expression of it because we are part of it. So Iswara Pranidhana is a different level of surrendering. You are surrendering to something greater. In order to do that, you need to understand how and why, and we're going to try to explore that. So close your eyes for a second and connect with your breathing. You can feel the air going in and out through your nostrils. You can feel how your lungs expand and shrink on each inhalation and on each exhalation. You can feel how your belly is also part of this equation. Just connect. Air goes in, air goes out, and you connect with that. Perfect. Please open your eyes. So you see, you can say, well, I was connecting with my breathing. There was no effort. Yes, I was surrendering. Sort of, we can say that, right? Yeah, I surrender to my breathing, I connect. But you were focusing on your breathing, didn't you? Part of this exercise, maybe your mind flew away, but but you were focusing on your breathing. That's an effort. It's an intellectual effort, but it's subtle. It's not, it's a different type of effort. That's when I refuse to understand surrender is as weakness or fragility or passivity. No, it's a completely different type of effort. It's a completely type of commitment. It's a much more subtle one. It's not the type of effort in which we were all trained, no pain, no gain. It's not that. For sure, it's not that. It's exactly the opposite. Is believing, but not believing, and we're going to talk about this, not believing, blindly believing, is believing in this greater energy that somehow govern us and offer our actions towards that. In reality, if you translate this Vara Pranidhana, it's coming from Sanskrit, the word of yoga. And if you translate this Vara Pranidhana, Vara means like a higher intelligence or universal consciousness or the organizing power of life. All different acceptions for a word that somehow refers to the same, which is Iswara. And Pranidhana means devotion or offering or dedication or surrendering. If you ask me, I would like to call Iswara's Pranidhana as surrendering to the divine. The divine, I mean this divine force that we call the universe, that somehow we are all part of. Now, when we somehow study yoga, what we basically, in which we mostly explore, is that faith is not presented like a belief, like a blind belief, but is presented of a doubt. I base all my ideas, I base all my knowledge on doubt, not on blind beliefs. Makes sense? Why the doubt? Because when we doubt, then we practice. And when we practice, then we experience. And when we experience, upon that experience, we build our faith. The faith on this greater intelligence or this greater energy that governs us. My teacher, David Simon, used to say, it's not that I have to believe in God or that I have to try to understand God, it's that I can it's impossible for me not to see it. I can see God everywhere. If we want to call this inner intelligence or greater energy or universe or consciousness or whatever, if you want to call it God, he always say that it's not that it's difficult for me to find it, it's impossible for me not to see it. And I deeply agree on that. When, for me, God is the beauty of your eyes. For me, God is children laughing. For me, God is the sounds of the ocean crashing on the shore. And this sort of amazing experience in which we are all together going through. So our knowledge, our ideas, our faith in yoga is not based on certainty. We have no certainty because for me or for yogis, I think that's something that I believe. I wouldn't talk about for others, but I believe that certainty is a tragedy. Because when we are certain, what we are doing is to freeze things. And then when we freeze things, then we don't have the capability to even give us permission to doubt because we are certain. I prefer to base everything in the doubt. When I am putting together or base everything in doubt, then is a great way to start with, because from there I can build something. Makes sense? So is what a pranidhana is based on this, upon this. It's a system. When we study yoga, you know, the 8 limbs of yoga, you hear about this, we talk about this many times, but the 8 limbs of yoga, the yamas, the niyamas, the pranayamas, the asana, and the pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Oh, those are the 8 limbs of yoga. 4 of these 8 limbs of yoga, the last 4, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, are based on the practice of meditation per se. Pratyahara, you redirect your senses inward. We talk 1,000 times about this. Pratyahara, redirecting your senses inward. Dharana, focusing your attention on an object. Dhyana, keeping the flow, the flow of the same thought, not just keep going with the flow of the same thought. And then samadhi, which would be meditation. Those are the last 4 limbs of yoga. And then the first 4 is the asana, the yamas and the niyamas, and then the asanas and the pranayamas and the asanas, or the asanas and the pranayamas. Now, Iswara Pranidhana is one of the 5 niyamas. So the rules of social behavior and the rules of personal behavior, the yamas and the niyamas. Iswara Pranidhana is the 5th of the 5 niyamas. It's a system. It's a method. Makes sense? These rules of personal behavior or system help us to understand that we do not have control. And that's the main point of any of this. We don't have control. That's why we need to surrender, because we are surrendered by a great energy, an energy in which we are part. If you have control, please stop this rain, because I already hate it. We have no control. We have participation, which is a different story, which is a beautiful story. We have participation. We are part of this. We participate in all of this. Sometimes with awareness, sometimes without awareness, but we are part of the entire story. But having control, that's our ego talking. And the more that we age and the more that we become a little bit wiser, the more that we realize that there is no control. And in any action of our life, let's say that you prepare for a test, and then don't tell me that you have control. You go, you test, and you do your best. If you prepare very well, and if you are thoughtful, and if you really become responsible about it, then you have much more probabilities to go through well. But it doesn't mean that you have control in going well. It means that you did your best to go well, but then you go and then you see. And in every aspect of our life, this system works. The 5 niyamas, saucha, santosha, tapas, svadhyadhya, is Iswara Pranidhana. Saucha, purity. I'm not going to talk about this because we don't have time, and time goes. It's not the type of purity that we usually think about. It's the inner and outer purity of the body, but it requires a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to talk about that. Santosha, contentment, we talk about this in previous seminars. Also a bad press word. People say contentment. That's kind of like, oh yeah, you are content with anything. It requires a lot of courage to be content. It's a radical act. It's probably one of the most radical acts in our society to be content. Tapas is discipline of effort. It's not discipline the way that we see discipline. It's the discipline of effort. How disciplined are in your efforts. And then svadhyadhya means inner work or self-regulation or self-study. And Iswara Pranidhana, surrender to the divine. So this is the method. Makes sense? These the niyamas. What is it that we do when nobody's watching us? Well, those are the 5 niyamas. And through these yamas, or through this method, or through this system, which was put together by Patanjali, but is part of the yoga tradition, we realize that we have participation, but we don't have control. And this is something that somehow tells us that when we fully act, loving deeply, in serving whatever it is, others or ourselves or the cause, not just serving others particularly, but when we act fully act, loving deeply, serving, then we act without demanding any outcome. Makes sense? When we do this without demanding any outcome, this is a perfect definition on how to embrace Iswara Pranidhama. Because that's what most of the time we do. We have a sort of somehow tray way to do these things. Like, okay, I'm going to put this effort, but I want this back. What is in here for me? Why we don't change that? Why we don't say, I'm going to enjoy the journey and I'm going to do my best, whatever is the outcome? Why instead to go into this and say, what is in here for me? We say, how can I help? And then from that simple twist, from that simple change of perspective or the place in which we stand, then we change everything. We become much more wiser. Things start going differently. When surrender is absent, then we suffer for change. So this is one of our biggest fears, right? Changing. Oh, things change. How many times someone walk into your yoga spot in the place in which you practice yoga, and you feel, that's my spot. Don't we do that? That's my spot. It's a funny story. The son of Deepak Chopra went to the theater in India, and then he was wearing a baseball hat, and then he suddenly have to go to the bathroom or something like this, and then he placed his hat on the chair and he went to the bathroom because he wanted to keep the chair. It was in India, and then when he came back, there was someone seated on the seat, and the hat was hanging somewhere else, in another chair or something like that, another seat. And then the son of Deepak kind of confront the guy and say, that's my chair. And the guy was like, why is your chair? Because I put my hat on top of the chair. And then the guy said, oh, so if I put my hat on top of your car, it's mine. But this is how we do these things, So change is difficult for us. And when surrender is missing, is absent, we resist reality. We confuse control with safety. And then, by the contrary, when you are just applying surrendering, then life goes easy, effort goes easy, because you are enjoying the journey. Failure is a part of the story, because if you surrender, failure is a possibility. I am divorced. I just was married for 15 years, and in a relationship that lasts about 20 years, but we were married for 15 and we have 2 kids, and I divorced. And I spent, I don't know how many years of my life feeling that as a great failure. And it took me years to realize that I was learning from there. But the feeling of failing was overwhelming. So that's because we don't surrender. That's because we keep holding on. And when we surrender, we realize, okay, well, life is a collaboration. We are part of this story. We need to be open to collaborate. So surrendering is not a resignation, is playing intimacy with reality. This is what surrendering is. It's a very high level game which you do when you are able to surrender. Those are my thoughts about surrendering and when people what people think about surrendering, because I know that we are in a society that surrendering is like, oh, what are you talking about? Okay, so I try my best to explain surrendering from a different point of view. In any case, I think that it's time to meditate because basically, sorry, I wanted to dedicate more time to meditation. So we are going to do a sort of meditation, on a normal meditation, a regular meditation, but we are going to try to to put together some ideas that can help you to explore this Swara Pranidhana thing. Make sense? Before we go into meditation, any questions you may have, any doubt, any things like, oh, hold on, what about this or what about that? Anything? You're okay? Good? Yes? Okay, so let's go. This is gonna take about 15, 20 minutes and then we close with just a few ideas. So close your eyes, please. As you close your eyes, you want to relax your body as we did before. Relax your shoulders, feel your body in touch with the chair or couch in which you are seated, or even if you are in a meditation cushion or whatever you are, just feel your body relax in there and see how it works for you. This sort of let it go, this sort of surrendering, allowing gravity to pull you down, releasing any constriction, any tension you may hold. And then, as you recognize your entire body from the tip of your toes to the crown of your head, and you connect with the different areas and the constrictions you may hold, and you try to release them. You connect with your body in touch with the chair. You connect with your feet in touch with the floor. You relax your shoulders. You relax your chest. When you feel ready physically, start shifting your attention towards your breathing and connect with your breathing as it is perfect. Allow your breathing to flow. Don't try to leave your mark to do anything. Just allow your breathing to go as it is. Of course, if you need to deep or take deep inhalations and deep exhalations because you have the need, sometimes when we just go into this meditation place, when we close our eyes, sometimes we have this inner need to take deep inhalations and deep exhalations. Do so. Do whatever help you to let go, to relax, to feel comfortable, to walk in. And then as you connect with your beautiful body and your beautiful breathing, realize this energy, in and out energy that flows through your nostrils. And start redirecting that energy towards your heart. So you are able to establish yourself within your heart. You can clearly feel the energy of your heart in the center of your being, the presence of your heart. You maybe can connect with your heartbeat. Now, after walking the three first doorways of our existence, I want you to use your mind to think about something that you are holding on at this moment, something that is bubbling within you. Maybe a project, maybe a goal, maybe a worrisome you have, an identity, a question, whatever it is, just become aware. Think about it, define it, become aware. And then, keeping your attention in your heart, within your awareness, repeat this affirmation. I do my best. I released the rest. I do my part. I release the rest. Just keep repeating this a few rounds. And then go to the second affirmation, keeping your attention in your heart. Repeat within your awareness, I offer this moment to life. I offer this moment to life. Now you can begin the repetition of a primordial sound or any other mantra you may want to use, or any other technique you may feel you want to practice now. We're going to keep meditating for a while. I'll take care of the time, so keep meditating until I ask you to stop. Enjoy your meditation. Very gentle. Stop the repetition of your mantra. Continue with your eyes softly closed. And then rest. Rest in existence, rest in awareness, rest in being. Existence, awareness, being. Sat Chit Ananda. When you feel ready, gently open your eyes. So, in this world obsessed with productivity, um, certainty, optimization, Iswara Pranidhana is a radical art, as I say before, it's a radical act. And we realize, or it reminds us, that we are not the sole actor of existence. We are we are part of this story. We are not separated from life. We are participants in this sort of vast, intelligent field. And basically, we do our best. We focus our attention as we did when we start this conversation and we say, oh, I'm going to focus my attention on my breathing. We focus, we come together, we put together all our attention and our intention, but then in the end, we surrender. We surrender to whatever the outcome is, and we learn from there. Because if the outcome is what we wanted, we probably are going to be very happy. If the outcome is not what we wanted, we probably are going to have a great lesson, a great learning, and then things um, things somehow become much more, um, I would say, interesting. It's a completely different journey. So yes, Iswara Pranidhana is the ultimate freedom. Imagine yourself being able not to be very attached to the outcome. No. So when you do your best and you escape from recognition, when you breathe through something instead to look for certainty or pushing for clarity, when you trust timing more than anything, even when our minds just wants sort of answers, if you listening instead to try to fix things, if you love without trying to possess, if you care about your body, recognizing the impermanence of our body, then this is how we practice Swara Pranidhana. Also, I think that a great way to embrace this is contemplation and reflection, because I think the grandeur in which we live is right there. It's everywhere. And when you contemplate, when you reflect upon that, then you realize why I am using my ego when the universe is telling me, hey, let's go. I am the universe. And I'm saying, no, I want to go that way. You know. So that's all what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this year 2026. I hope to see you often in the yoga classes, in our seminars. I am working on preparing the retreat Mexico in October. So you all will receive some information. I hope you all can be part of this in this third um, time that we are going to do this retreat. I love you so much. Beautiful to be with you. I don't know if you have any questions. If not, we go. Any questions? Nope. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Namaste.
Bye all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.